Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. It's time for your favorite podcast party. Hey there, everyone. It is Denise, and you are here on F4W Online. And it is time to talk about WWE NXT from March 14th. And I gotta tell you, so this was the fallout from Roadblock, and this was a pretty good show. And we are building towards NXT Stand and Deliver as we have been. And we got a bunch of matches confirmed tonight, announced for tonight. So we are going to go ahead and talk all about all of that and more here today. Really, it was a fun show. It was a fun show. But we're going to kick things off with our super chats as always. And we got a really good one here. The first one of the night from Steven, who says, everyone go support Denise's interview with Mickie James. Thank you so much for allowing me to plug this in here. So today I did an interview with Mickie James, and it's my fourth interview that I've ever done with Mickie James. The last couple of years, we've kind of been like, chatting a lot and doing these interviews and talking about these different aspects of her career. And today was really fun. We did an interview, and she talks about the last rodeo. Obviously, she's currently Knockouts champion. We talk about that. And she just has such a great insight on pro wrestling. And so it's like stepping into her mind and hearing everything that she has to say is absolutely phenomenal. So make sure to check that one out. It's a really good one. I always love talking with Mickie James. And you can check that one out on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much to Steven for sending in the super chat and also helping support that interview as well. Okay, also just a couple quick announcement before I move on with the show. So for those of you who weren't here on Friday, quick announcement. So this week, normally I'm live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. However, Thursday, I'm leaving to Arizona to go see Taylor Swift in concert. So I'm going to be on vacation from Thursday through Sunday. So I will be here tomorrow to talk about AEW Dynamite, but I won't be here this Friday to talk about Smackdown or Rampage. So just a heads up, I won't be here this Friday, but I will definitely be here tomorrow to talk about Dynamite. We got a super chat here from Brandon Rosen. Thank you so much to Brandon, who says, am I missing something? If Roxanne's condition is a work, why did they strip her of the title? Could she be off TV for a while? If not, it seems NXT is convoluting the story for nothing. All right, so let's break this down. So this will be the first thing we talk about for today, because this is important. So we are going to discuss Roxanne Perez and basically everything that's been going down storyline wise and all of that. So Shawn Michaels basically, so last week after Roxanne's match with Meiko Satomura, they did the whole bit where, she passes out and, she's stretchered out to the back and this and that, right? We spoke about that a lot last week. And today, they make the announcement that she is most likely not going to be at the pay-per-view, that she's most likely not going to be there. They have a doctor come out, and the doctor is talking about how, all her test results came in great and this and that, but that he doesn't have a timetable for when she might be able to return. So then on top of that, Shawn Michaels basically announced that there's going to be a ladder match with several opponents, and there's going to be several challengers, There's going to be several challengers in the match, and it's going to be a ladder match. It's going to be a ladder match, and you're going to see one of those women win the NXT Women's Championship. And we had a couple of qualifying matches today. We'll talk more about those in just a second. So basically, look, guys, my prediction here, and this is where I think this is going based on the storyline and all of this, is my prediction here is that we're definitely going to be seeing Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver. They are most likely, this is what I'm expecting, They are going to have all of the qualifying matches. They're going to finish it out. They're going to announce all of the opponents. I mean, challengers. Keep saying opponents. All of the challengers for the title. And they are going to be all announced. And afterwards, when this match is just about to get started, I do think Roxanne Perez is going to come out, and it's going to be the whole, like, she defied all the odds. And here she is. You know, she beat this and beat that. We didn't think we were going to see her, but it's the passion in our champion, and that's why she's here. So I think that's definitely the route that we're going with, just based off of the fact that, Shawn Michaels likes to kind of mirror previous stories and previous storylines and incorporate them into NXT. So this pretty much feels like what they're going to do. So I'm definitely expecting to see Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver. I'm still expecting her to, I don't know if she'll win the match. I'm assuming she will. I definitely think she will, actually. I'm still feeling probably 100% certain that Roxanne Perez is going to come out at NXT Stand and Deliver and win the ladder match. And it's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe she did it after everything she's been through. But she really cares about this championship, and she really cares about being NXT Women's Champion. And that's why she came out here, and that's why she fought in this match. And look at her, holding up her championship. So that's what I'm definitely predicting for NXT Stand and Deliver. But with that being said, we might as well get into the women's matches that we had today, because we had two qualifiers to take up a spot in those ladder matches. And in the ladder match, we kicked it off with the first qualifying match was Zoe Stark versus Sol Ruca. And let me tell you guys, I was a big fan of this match. This was probably one of my favorite matches from today. Probably my favorite match of the day, because so we all know that Zoe Stark is really good, and every time she goes out there, she's like super hard hitting, and it's really easy to get behind her and just watch her work. She's very enjoyable to watch in ring. And then Sol Ruca, she is an up and comer, man. She is somebody that I feel people have instantly kind of gravitated towards, because she instantly was like fun to watch. She's only been there for a short period of time, and already we've seen this tremendous amount of growth. And so in this match with Zoe, even though Sol Ruca lost and Zoe won, I felt that Sol Ruca looked phenomenal in this match. Like, even though she lost, she still got a W just because of the way that she performed and the way that this performance turned out for her. I actually thought that this was the best Sol Ruca match that we've seen so far on NXT. There was a lot of really good stuff. They work well together. And one of the things that I was thinking about was, once Sol Ruca is, in NXT for a longer period of time, and once she gets more and more experience underneath her belt, based on how fast she's, already gotten pretty good, I can't wait to see them run this match back again in the future, because I think that her and Zoe can have an even better match. Honestly, like, there's a lot that they can do there with Zoe and Sol Ruca. But anyways, there was a moment where, because both Zoe and Sol, they both have the big blonde hair and all of this. There was a moment where I was watching the match, and I was really into it, and Zoe Stark, for the most of it, was kind of kicking Sol Ruca's butt. Like, she was just looking so good. But then there was a sequence where Sol Ruca was just going to town on Zoe Stark, and for a split moment, I thought I was watching Zoe Stark because of the blonde hair. And then I'm like, wait, you're watching Sol Ruca right now. Like, that's Sol Ruca. Look at her freaking go. So there was like a moment where, because the action was moving so fast, like in my mind, it was still Zoe Stark on offense, but it was Sol Ruca, but everything that she was doing was so spot on. So anyways, after this, she hit a really nice moonsault. She still ends up losing this match. But again, this was a good one and made Sol Ruca look really good. You're seeing all the potential in her for sure. And then Zoe Stark's just killing it, period. Like, she goes in there and she just has good matches, period. So that was the first qualifier. So Zoe's in the match. We had another qualifier, and the other one was Gigi Dolan versus Kiana James. And this one was okay too. I thought this one was fine. I think really the only thing that really stood out to me in this match were some of the strikes from Gigi Dolan. I thought were kind of fun to see. Gigi Dolan gets the win. It was definitely the right call. So Gigi Dolan has also been added to this matchup for the ladder match at NXT Stand and Deliver. So we kind of covered a lot there. Let me go ahead and see what you people here, you, the people, are saying on the chat. So we got a super chat from Malik Black who says, I feel like Soul is going to win a last chance match to get the match. I mean, a Soul Snatcher off a ladder, Soul Snatcher into off a ladder is a moment for her. And look, Malik, I completely agree with you. I really do hope that they add her to it. And I feel like based on, some of the, here's the thing though, she kind of already had the qualifying match. I hope they maybe do like a second chance thing where all of the people who lose the qualifiers get another go and then you have her win. I think that would probably be a good way to work around adding her to the actual matchup. But I definitely think she's somebody that should be included into the matchup itself. So I definitely agree with that. But she's looking good, man. She's really looking good. Thank you so much to Malik for sending in that super chat here. And I got everybody pretty much putting over Sol Ruka for sure. All right, so let's see what else we got here and what people are saying. This is from Justin Martin who says, the finishing sequence to Sol Ruka versus Zoe Stark was phenomenal. Completely agree. And yeah, everybody's pretty much agreeing that they think that Sol Ruka should definitely be in the match. No bad comments whatsoever on that performance at all. And pretty much everyone also agrees in regards to what they're predicting for Roxanne Perez. I haven't really seen a different prediction here in terms of what you guys might be expecting for Roxanne Perez. From the looks of it, I would say that the safe assumption or the safe prediction right now is that we're still going to see her in the ladder match. We got Sheldon Jackson here who sends in a super chat saying, I'm glad Gigi won and she looked good in the ring. Right decision for her to be at Stand and Deliver, but winning the title, not yet. Yeah, definitely not yet. They still got a lot that they can do with Gigi before she gets there. So I'm definitely like, here's the thing. I know we've only got, 2 people announced for this match so far. So it's really hard to say right now who I think if they were to crown somebody else a champ and not have Roxanne, let's say my theory doesn't play out. Let's say that Roxanne Perez doesn't come out and participate in this match. Based on the 2 announcements so far with just Zoe and Gigi, I would go with Zoe just because, the work rate is just really good with Zoe and you would want to see her maybe get this opportunity. But then again, I just don't think that's going to happen. I do really think that we're going to see Roxanne Perez come out and have her big moment of, she's back and she did it. And here she is to fight like a real champion. And you got to think about this, like go back and think about the story that they've been telling with Roxanne is she's always overcoming the obstacle. She's always, fighting, and that's her perseverance is really what has really built her up. So I'm definitely thinking that's the direction we're headed in with all of this. And let's see what else we got here. And yeah, Christopher Smith says HBK recreating his greatest hits in NXT, Toxic Attraction, Roxanne collapses, and now HBK versus Razor, Mania 10. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that we're seeing that, basically tie back to something else from the past. All right. And we got somebody also predicting that they predict Tiffany Stratton winning. If she's in the match, if Tiffany Stratton is in the match, and let's say we don't have Roxanne go out there, I can definitely see Tiffany Stratton getting the bout. I could definitely see it because she's somebody that was an instant favorite too, like right away liked by everybody. So there you go. But that is what's going on right now with the NXT Women's Championship picture and what's going down with the champ, Roxanne Perez. So now let's get into Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller. So this was really fun. I had a really good time with this. So Johnny Gargano comes out and he is addressing Grayson Waller. As you guys know, Grayson Waller and Johnny Gargano are going to have a match. This was made last week after Grayson Waller was beefing with Shawn Michaels, and during the Grayson Waller effect, he challenged Shawn Michaels to a match at Stand and Deliver, and Shawn was like, no. And he says, I'm going to bring out your opponent because this person wants to kick your ass more than I, or just as much as I do. And Johnny Gargano comes out. Johnny Gargano, when he was saying his farewell speech, when he left NXT and you didn't know what his trajectory was going to be, he was jumped by Grayson Waller. And now, things happen and Grayson and Johnny Gargano is coming into the spot and they're tying this all together. And if you would have told me back then when Johnny Gargano was doing this promo and Grayson Waller attacked him, if you would have told me that, however, like a year or however much time later, that we would end up actually seeing Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller in NXT, I don't necessarily think that I would have believed it. I really would not have believed it, because at this time, I really thought that we were just not going to see Johnny Gargano back in NXT for like a very long time. I thought, okay, he's either going to go to AEW, he's going to be in the Indies, or if he comes back to WWE, it'll be Raw and SmackDown. And obviously, he's on the main roster. But even then, I still was not expecting him to go back to NXT and have this, this program with Grayson Waller. I just thought it was going to be one of those things that you never hear from it again. And it is what it is, right? Like, I wasn't actually expecting for this program to end up taking off. Like, I wasn't expecting it. So with that being said, all of this tied in together very nicely. And so it makes sense that Johnny Gargano is a part of this. It's helping out Grayson Waller. I really like I'm so far preferring the chemistry that Grayson Waller and Johnny Gargano have over the chemistry that we saw between Grayson Waller and Braun Breaker. And I was a big fan of how that program started with Grayson and Braun. But this one to me is kind of feeling a little bit more natural. Like, it doesn't feel forced by any means. This is kind of flowing. So, and I think a big part of that is not because, the history with Johnny Gargano and the attack and all of that. So it tied in very perfectly. But even afterwards, so Johnny Gargano's out there doing his promo, right? And then Vic Joseph comes up to him and shows him his phone and shows him that Grayson Waller is streaming live. And then he's streaming live from Johnny Gargano's home. So Johnny Gargano leaves, and he's shown leaving the building. He's calling Candace and telling her, don't open the door, don't open the door. And so finally, later on in the show, we circle back to this. And by the time we come back to this, Johnny Gargano and Grayson Waller are fighting in the front yard of his house. And Candace comes out, and she has baby wrestling in tow. And, Grayson Waller's like, these, they're fighting. They're beating him up. At one point, he's hitting him with the shovel. Johnny Gargano's getting his butt kicked. And by the end of it, you have Johnny Gargano laying out there, and he's all all messed up and stuff. And he's not bloodied up or anything, but he's all messed up, all like dirty and all of this. And they have baby wrestling go out there, and he's obviously he's a baby, so he doesn't know like this is acting and you're watching wrestling. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that yet. Or maybe he does. I don't know. But the point is that he's kind of like sad, and he's, you can tell like he's really just, he extends his hand to his dad and is trying to touch him, and he's trying to do something. And I thought, well, that's kind of crazy. Like, the baby saw this and, legitimately thought, hey, I don't like this. This is my dad, and I don't like what I'm seeing. And he's like crying, and he's trying to touch his dad's hand. And at one point he does. And this was good stuff. I thought this was good stuff with everything that they did here, with the way that they reconnected everything with the story with Grayson and Johnny. And then afterwards, did the house attack and everything. All of that to me was good. They have not done anything this good just yet with Johnny Gargano on the main roster. What the hell? So this right now is something that I'm definitely enjoying on NXT. So I'm liking this. I'm really liking this. Let's see what else I wanted to say about this. That was kind of it. All right. We got a super chat here from Brandon Rosen, who says, I kept screaming at the TV as if I were watching a slasher film. Get in the house, Candace. Lock the door, says Brandon Rosen. I like that she came out like in sweats and all casual with a bun up, because that's very realistic. If someone were to come to my house, I wouldn't be all like dolled up. I'd be in sweats, some hair up, bun up, that type of thing. But there you go. Baby Wrestling officially made his debut. Brandon Rosen, thank you so much for sending this in as well. Mohammed says Quill was trying to get the hot tag to kick Waller's ass. I tweeted that, by the way, because you could see him like touching his hand, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. That's him getting his tag into this and coming after Grayson Waller. In like 20 years, guys, in about 20 years, 22 years, I don't know how many years, 20 years, we might see Grayson Waller versus baby wrestling. Long-term storytelling. All right, let's go ahead and press on from here. Let's see what else we got. So this was good. This was good. Let's get into really quickly. We had a match between Pretty Deadly and Gallus. This was probably the most interested I've been in Gallus because I haven't really been all that interested in Gallus recently or like ever. And so this was really the first time that I was kind of interested. I like this match with Pretty Deadly. I like when Pretty Deadly threw them did that spot. I forgot who they threw from Gallus into the commentary table, but that was pretty good. And them using the belt to try and cheat and not getting the win. I thought it was going to be over at that point, and then it wasn't. So I did like it. Gallus hits their finisher, gets the win, gets their win, continues on. I was a fan of this. I thought this was pretty good. We also get a backstage segment, which I thought was pretty funny. And this is continuing whether or not Kiana James is cheating on Brooks or not. So Fallon and Briggs. I always confuse Briggs and Brooks, or Briggs Jensen, Brooks Jensen. This happens all the time on every show. It's been months. Oh my God, the names drive me crazy. Okay, so anyways, so they're doing the whole bit about, is Kiana James cheating on him or is she not cheating on him? So they go and they sneak into her office and they're looking around. They're trying to find some way to catch her in the act of cheating. And they end up finding a notebook that she has or her calendar. And in her calendar, it says dinner with Sebastian and drinks with Sebastian. And so now they're assuming that Sebastian is the guy that she's secretly seen. And there's a note that they find in the flowers, and it says something along the lines of, "Oh, I had a great time with you and a great morning with you as well. Love, Sebastian." I kind of liked this. I really liked this. So when it comes to the vignettes, I've said this a million times, they do a really good job at this on NXT. And I think this was one of them that I kind of thought, oh, how are they going to make it so that, they find out that she's cheating or not cheating? But basically, they also alluded to all of this being a plan, like a secret sabotaging plan on behalf of Kiana James, because in her notebook, you're seeing all of these things where it's like, win the titles, this and that, all these little kind of steps that she seems to be following. So it's kind of, I think it's going to be pretty soon revealed that Kiana James had all of this planned out so that, she could eventually screw Fallon Henley. So this was actually very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from this, and let's see what else we got on NXT. Let's talk about the NXT North American Championship. So this was a fun one here, and I have really been liking what they're doing with Wesley and the Open Challenge. So what they've been doing is that everybody is fighting to be the person to answer the Open Challenge because everybody wants a shot at Wesley. Everybody wants a shot at becoming NXT North American Champion. So Wesley arrives to the building and he's in the parking lot, and Axiom this killed me, by the way. I don't know what it was, but Axiom killed me with this. This was funny as hell to me. Axiom creeps up on him and is telling him, you know what, I'm going to follow you around all day because I don't want to miss my opportunity to answer your Open Challenge, this and that. So his plan is to follow him all day long. And Les is like, dude, there's still like 8 hours until the show. And he tells them, well, I'm going to follow you around. And then they're like, okay, well, let's go eat. So I kind of like this. I like that Axiom was so, desperate to beat everybody that he's just going to follow him around so that he makes sure that he's always there. That to me was low-key pretty funny. But it doesn't work out too well for him because by the time Wesley goes out there for the Open Challenge, everybody is out there fighting each other. They're all brawling. Everyone's trying to get into the ring, this and that. They had some pretty good little sequences here that I really did like because finally Axiom makes it out. I'm like, hell yeah, Axiom better get this because he's the one that's been following him around all day. So I was rooting for Axiom here. I wanted Axiom to get the match. So Axiom gets out there and then out of nowhere, Scrypts. We'll talk more about Scrypts in just a second, but Scrypts comes out and then he takes out Axiom. So then afterwards, we're like, okay, so now the Axiom Wesley match isn't happening. And then afterwards, JD McDonough comes out and takes out Wesley. This also kind of started a little bit beforehand, but we'll talk about that separately because that ties into something else. But then he's taken out by Ilya Dragunov. So then finally, Wesley goes into the brawl. They all start fighting, and it's just a big mess. So then later on the show, there is this thing called NXT Anonymous, which is apparently Gossip Girl, but for NXT. You guys know Gossip Girl, XOXO Gossip Girl. Anyways, so we got Gossip Girl, but the NXT version, NXT Anonymous, reveals that like a video, reveals a video with Wesley and Shawn Michaels talking backstage, and Shawn's telling them, like, this has gotten too out of control. These open challenges, you got to help me out, man. And Wesley goes on and he tells Shawn Michaels, hey, I want to take on 10 men at NXT Stand and Deliver. And Shawn is like, I can't give you 10 guys, dude. Like, that's too much. I'll level with you. I'll meet you halfway. Let's do 5 guys. So this ends up being an announcement for a fatal 5-way. And Wesley is going to have the opportunity to pick 4 of the other guys that are going to be in this match. So that should be kind of funny. I don't know how he's going to select people, if he's going to be watching some matches, if he's just going to go based off of, if they're going to turn this into a comedy thing where all the guys are trying to like maybe buy the opportunity. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of coming up with the opponents for this, but I like the way that they're going with this. The Fatal 5-way sounds like a good matchup for sure. So anyways, that was everything that happened with Wesley and the NXT North American Championship and where we're at with all of that. All right, before we continue on, everybody, just a heads up, I will be back tomorrow for AEW Dynamite Conversation. Also, if you guys do want to go ahead and support this podcast, get your question, your comment, your statement read on the stream, you are more than welcome at any point to send in a super chat. And Brandon Rosen circles me back here on the point that I wanted to talk about, and that is Scrypts. So Scrypts is back, and things are looking better for Scrypts. They're looking so much better. It had been a really long time since we'd seen Scrypts. And for those of you who are like, okay, who's Scrypts? What's going on? What's happening? Well, Reggie is Scrypts. And Scrypts made his debut on NXT, and it was kind of bad because the character was not great, the mask was not great, the gear was not great. Everybody made fun of it online. It just didn't look good at all. And then afterwards, we were kind of seeing a little bit of Scrypts, but not too much. They did make a change to the mask, but it really wasn't like a big change. So then finally, we just kind of stopped seeing Scrypts. We just stopped seeing him. Well, he's back. They did a little vignette where he's writing again, and they've done one of these before where he's writing and crumbling up the paper and throwing it on the floor. And then finally he's, reveals this brand new mask, and he pulls it up and he holds it up, and he finally has, a new look. So good for Scrypts. They're switching things up for him. That was exactly what they needed to do, because the original mask and the original gear, if you did not see it, Google it. You don't want to not see it. So I'm glad that they changed up Scrypts' look, because it was you weren't giving the guy a shot with that mask. You weren't giving him a shot with that gear. So at least now things are working out for him. And Joseph Boza says he's been on Level Up. Dude, I didn't even know Level Up was still a show. I've never seen Level Up ever. I hate to be that person, but I don't watch Level Up. I don't watch Main Event. I don't watch any of that. So there you go. But that is pretty much what's going on with Reginald a la Scrypts. And Chase Elliott says he's actually coming off a loss to Quincy Elliott. Quincy Elliott's another one we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen Quincy Elliott in a hot minute. Wasn't the last thing we saw with Quincy Elliott where he was out there like dancing with Zion Quinn? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not the last time we saw Quincy Elliott on NXT? I'm pretty sure Quincy Elliott like spanking Zion Quinn in the butt was like the last thing we saw on NXT. And I'm not making this up. We literally saw this. Literally saw this. I don't remember anything else that we've seen with Quincy Elliott since. That's literally been it. Quincy was in the brawl? He was in the brawl? I didn't even see him in the brawl. Oh my God. All right. Well, there you go. YT says, I don't remember the moment you're talking about. Dude, do y'all not remember when Quincy Elliott was doing the whole thing with Zion Quinn? Am I the only person who remembers this? No way. There's no way. I know for a fact somebody else remembers this. He was out there dancing with Zion Quinn. I don't remember on what episode of NXT. I don't remember when it happened, but I know that it happened. All right. Thank you, Zeno Hour says Quincy Elliott was in both brawls. Oh, poor Quincy. I really like Quincy, though, in terms of I like him, but yeah, I just didn't even notice him in the brawl. But then again, there was like 100 people. So there you go. Well, correction, everyone. Quincy Elliott was in the brawl. He was in both of them, and I missed him twice. So there you go. All right. I feel really bad. I feel really, really bad that I missed Quincy Elliott in that. I feel so bad. Oh man. All right. So let's see what else we got. We already talked about Roxanne. Let's get into, we already talked about Zoe Stark, so Ruka. Let's get into the tag team match that we got here. So Isla Dawn and Alba Fire versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance versus Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley in a triple threat tag team match with the winner going on to take the champions at NXT Stand and Deliver. This was pretty quick, pretty fast, but we ended up seeing Isla Dawn and Alba Fire get the victory here. And let me tell you, this was definitely the right call. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, I've been saying this a million times on this show, but they look freaking cool together. They just have the vibe. Like they just have a really good aesthetic together. And the tag team division for NXT is for the women is very, very slim, and we need more tag teams. And I can't think of a better tag team right now that like one of the better tag teams in Isla Dawn and Alba Fire in terms of just how they're being presented so far with the look and everything that they're doing. Like they fit together, they mesh well together. And so it makes sense to have them not only go into this match, I want to see them win. I want to see Isla Dawn and Alba Fire become NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. I definitely feel like that's the right way to go, but we'll see. I just feel like it would really give them something more to do on the actual show. And I just, because Fallon Henley and freaking Kiana James, I think that's going to come to an end pretty soon. So I feel like you can get a little bit more mileage with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire as a team. So as a tag team champ. So I hope we do see it. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and we got more people here thinking that it's going to be Alba and Isla. We got Chase Elliott who says, I think Alba and Isla are taking the titles off of Kiana and Fallon. I think so too. And if they do, it's definitely the right way to go about it, in my opinion. All right, and let's go ahead and continue from here. Actually, we do got a comment from Zeno Hour that I want to read who says, I'm conflicted. Isla and Alba should be NXT Women's Tag Champions. On the other hand, both should be on the main roster already. No, Isla really just got there, so I would still give her more of an opportunity to, do her thing on NXT. Would I like to see her on the main roster? Of course. And there's, spots to be had on the main roster for the women for sure, especially on SmackDown. Are you kidding me? She would add so much to SmackDown, but I still think she can do a lot more on NXT. Alba Fire, I thought should have been on the main roster since yesterday, since a long time ago. She should have really been there already. There were so many times when we thought she was, but I get you, man. For Isla, again, she really just got there. So I still think that they could do a little bit more with her there. And alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on from here. We are going to be seeing, they teased pretty much that Tony D and Stax are going to be going for the men's tag team titles, and I'm here for it. I kind of hope that they defeat Gallus. I want to see them become champions because I feel like as much as I appreciate Gallus for what they aren't really like a hot tag team in terms of what you see is what you get. And I'm not expecting anything different. It kind of feels like what we're seeing right now is pretty much all we're going to get right now. And so for me, I kind of did lose a little bit of interest in Gallus as tag team champions. And I do want to see something, I don't know, just something different. I'm totally here for Tony D and Stax. I love that Tony was basically telling him, hey, I respect you for what you did and for going out there and helping me out in that jailhouse street fight, the way that he pretty much put his body on the line. I like that he has that respect for him, because that wasn't always there. He kind of treated him as a, just a guy that was there to help him do his dirty work. And now you're see him more as a partner instead of just a guy who, again, does his dirty work. So I'm liking the direction here. And I think that, Tony D'Angelo, he has a really good presence. It's not hard to get into the character. So I feel they can definitely do something with them as tag team champions. And I think you can get more out of it than Gallus as tag team champions, unfortunately. So that's kind of where I'm at. All right. So let's see what else we got here. And we got more people just saying that Tony and Stacks are just more over. And yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. It's because they have a personality. Honestly, it helps. If you got a personality, it just helps, man. And I think that's what's kind of lacking from Gallus, is that you're not getting much else. Like you're just getting, that's it. Like whatever is being presented to you, like that's it. And so I do think I would be a little bit more interested in Gallus if we were getting maybe a little bit more of personality and all of that. But that's where we're at there. And Chase Elliott says, I'm all for it. Long overdue for the dawn of NXT. It is. And, he was sidelined for a bit. He was injured for a bit. So that kind of stalled him just a tad, but now he's getting back into it. And we got literally everybody here who's just like, yes, this is exactly what we want to see. And what's funny is that this wasn't even though they've been, a team or a faction, or they were originally a faction, but they, lost members. But even though they've been associated together for the longest time, for some reason, I never really considered them being a tag team. Like, I never really considered them being a tag team, because I always saw Tony D'Angelo as the leader. I always saw him as just one step above or one step in front of Stacks. I always saw Stacks behind him. I didn't see him as an equal. And so this was the first time where they presented the idea, and I thought, why didn't I think of that before? This is the pairing or the tag team that I didn't realize that I actually wanted. So for me, I feel like this is a good direction for sure. All right. So after this, speaking of good directions, this is one that I've been waiting for it to fully take off. And I think today was definitely the day. And that is Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough. I've been a fan of them starting this thing for the longest time. This has been kind of on and off. I've talked about the feud that they had with Braun Breaker a bunch of times. I love that triple threat from Halloween Havoc. That was really freaking good. I talk about it all the time. And so now we're going to be getting JD McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov next week. Now, I do hope that this is a match that we end up getting at NXT Stand and Deliver. So whatever happens next week, I hope is just going to continue us into them going into a match together at NXT Stand and Deliver, because I really do think that if they have a match, it's going to, at the pay-per-view, I think it's definitely going to be a super, super hot match. So I really want to see that. But basically during this whole portion, what we get is, JD McDonough basically saying Ilya Dragunov saying he wants to finish off JD McDonough once and for all. And then JD McDonough comes out and he's talking about how they're more alike than they are different. And they start arguing about who's more obsessed with the other, and talking about how much Ilya Dragunov loves pain and this and that. And while they were doing this, the whole time I was thinking, damn, these are two finely dressed men, by the way. Ilya Dragunov, I literally tweeted this, by the way. Ilya Dragunov, if I were a man, I would dress like Ilya Dragunov. I know that sounds really freaking weird to say, but dude looks good, man. He looks so sophisticated. He goes out there with a really nice turtleneck, looks expensive, and then he has the blazer, some nice fitted jeans, some good looking shoes. Are you kidding me? Ilya Dragunov is like my man style spirit. There you go. You know what? I just want to be Ilya Dragunov. That's it. I want to be Ilya Dragunov, man. The dude is freaking cool. He dresses great. He's scary. He's a great wrestler. He kicks ass. He's everything I want to be. Ilya Dragunov. If I could be a man, I would be Ilya Dragunov. There you go. I'm embarrassed that I said that. But no, for reals, I really do think that this whole feud and everything that they're doing there has been really good. This match is going to happen next week. Let's keep it going. They end up fighting all the way to the back, and later on, as I mentioned earlier, they get involved in the Wesley Open challenge situation, but they brawl in the back. It's good stuff, man. It's heating up. Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough is finally heating up, and this was exactly what I was waiting for. And here's the thing, like, I really like both guys, so I don't care what direction they go with whoever winning. I don't even care. I just want to see this match, or I just want to see this program, rather. Progress. We got another super chat here from Malik Black, who says, wish JD versus Ilya was on the pay-per-view, but the winner should be in the NXT North American title match. Curious to hear your prediction for the 4 people in the North American title match. So let's get to that, Malik. This is a really good answer. I mean, really good question. So let me just pull up the roster here so I could refresh my memory. But so when it comes to, yeah, JD and Ilya should definitely be on the pay-per-view. And it would make sense to have the winner be in that NXT North American title match, but I do want to see, but you can't do both, right? I mean, you could do both, right? But I just think it should be like a standalone match. And so I don't think we would see like the standalone match and then the other guy having to wrestle twice again on the show. I don't think they do that. So for that reason, if they have it on the pay-per-view, I can't see one of them being also in the ladder match. In the title match. So let's talk about who would be in this Fatal 5-Way. So I'm looking at this. I feel like you definitely need to put Axiom because he's the guy that's been, pestering Wesley. So definitely Axiom. Damon Kemp. I would add Damon Kemp to this because Damon Kemp, I've said this before, but I love his match with Julius in the ambulance match that they did. That was really good. I would add Damon Kemp to that. And I'm trying to see who else doesn't have a match that would be good to add here. Ooh, let me see. Nathan Frazier is another one. I don't think they've announced him for anything yet. So Nathan Frazier is definitely another one because he's been doing really great stuff too. And who would the 4th guy be? The 4th guy I don't know who the 4th guy would be. I'm looking here and I'm not really thinking of another 4th guy that could be really great in this spot. So the 4th guy could probably be whoever, really. I just want to see those 3 main people really in this match. But there you go. Malik, thank you so much for sending this in. I really appreciate you sending this in. Thank you so much. And I want to answer this one here as well. And this is from Isaac Looper, who's asking my thoughts on Saray leaving WWE. So we unfortunately never really got to see her, really do her thing. They had her do this whole thing where she would go out there with a little, was it a clock? It was like a little clock or a little necklace. I forgot what it was, but she like wore a pendant. She wore it around her neck, and it gave her like powers or something. I don't even remember. I just know she had this really cool entrance, though. I did like the entrance a whole lot, where she would go out there and then she would come out and she would transform. And, she did that whole thing with Tiffany Stratton, where Tiffany Stratton was being mean to her about the necklace. And that was kind of really the recent stuff that you had seen with her. And so they never really went all the way, unfortunately, with her. I never really saw them take her as a serious character, and so that kind of sucks that we never really got to see. I think she was impacted in the way that they didn't have a good character for her, and because of that, I do think it hurt her spot on the roster. I think that the character just wasn't there. The creative wasn't there for her. And unfortunately, they never really came up with anything for her. So I think she's better off leaving and, going out and finding something that will work better for her. And she's clearly doing that. She's going to be, going to Japan. She's going to be having a match soon as well. I forget the date, but she's going to be having a match soon. And it's better, I think, that she's out of WWE because they didn't really have or do much with her in the company. So there you go. Thank you so much to Isaac Looper for sending this in because I did want to talk about that as well. Oh yeah, someone also mentions Dragon Lee. He should definitely be in it. For some reason, I didn't think about him right now because he's not yet on the NXT roster. They haven't added him technically yet to the NXT roster, so I wasn't thinking about Dragon Lee, but Dragon Lee is definitely another one. So he did have a quick interview with Mackenzie Mitchell, and I thought it was really funny because so he's going out there, right, with Mackenzie, and let me find my notes. Here they are. He goes out there and he basically does an interview in Spanglish. Now, this is easy for me. I speak English, I speak Spanish, so this was really easy, but I thought it was so funny because he goes out there and he's talking in 2 languages. And I want to give so much credit to Mackenzie because I don't know if Mackenzie could speak Spanish. I'm assuming she doesn't, but she did a really great job of selling it. Like she understood every single word that Dragon Lee said. And that was what I thought was great because he was going in and out of, 2 languages. And so I thought it was really funny that the whole time she's like, yeah, like I totally get what you're saying. And so I thought that was really funny. But Dragon Lee basically goes out there and says he's here to be an example of the spirit of Lucha Libre, that he's excited to be here. And I think, what, now that I think about it, I think he's definitely going to be in that match because he did mention during this promo, he said, based on what I saw out there with the brawl, I'm excited to be here. So there you go. I definitely think he's going to be in it. And that's all. He says, he wants to show the world that he's special and that he's, he feels he's going to love it here. So there you go. That was pretty much what Dragon Lee said. So yeah. And someone also mentions Javier Bernal. We haven't seen him in a bit. I don't know what's going on with Javier. Unless he was probably in the brawl too, and I didn't even notice. Probably. Stephen Bradley says that his predictions for the 5-way are Dragon Lee, Axiom, Nathan Frazier, and Trick Williams. Thank you, Stephen, for also sending in your predictions as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and press on from this. Let's see what else we haven't talked about just yet. I really went all over the place. Normally, I do everything in a chronological format, so I have everything in order of what I want to talk about. And this time I jumped around, so I'm like, what haven't we talked about? Chase U. We haven't talked about Chase U. Duke Hudson's still pissed about their win-loss record. Andre Chase is saying that he's actually right on this. And then but then Andre Chase basically tells him, you know what? I feel like for the first time in your career, Chase University has really been something for you. It's been the best thing for you. And so they kind of have this little back and forth here between them. And then we talked about Dragon Lee's backstage interview. Another person who had a backstage interview was JC Jane. So she goes out there and, she's talking about her match that she had with Gigi Dolan in which she lost. And she says that even on her best day that even on her worst day, Gigi is only 1/10 better than JC. And JC then shames Mackenzie and tells her that, she's belittling her for being a terrible reporter and not stating the facts and only talking about the gossip. And so they have a little JC Jane's being mean to her. And that's pretty much what we get here. Next up, we got a match that I ended up enjoying so much more than I thought I would. And it was the grudge match between Apollo Crews and Dabba-Kato. I'm going to tell you, I had no interest in this match whatsoever, no interest. And I ended up kind of digging it. No lie, I wouldn't mind them running this one back again. If this was added to NXT Stand and Deliver, I'd be cool with it. I'd be fine with it. This was actually pretty fun. There's a moment where Cruz does a spear to Dabba-Kato, but it's like a really slow motion spear. Or not rather that it was a slow motion spear, it was a slow fall. The fall was very, very slow, but it's because Dabba-Kato is so big and he's trying to get out of the ring but fall in a decent way, I guess. And so it looked a little bit slow, but it kind of worked for what it was. Then there was a moment where Kato was smothering his face, and then finally we see a boot from Cruz, and then Cruz gets him with an angle slam, and it actually looked really great, and it got a pretty good reaction. Then we see Apollo Crews hit his frog splash, always looks really cool too. Goes for the pin, it's a near fall, and then afterwards, Dabba-Kato ends up putting him into the steel steps, literally back first, right into the steel steps. He almost gets counted out, but he makes it back into the ring, and then finally he hits Apollo Crews with a sit-down powerbomb and gets the win. Shit, I was into this. I thought this was gonna suck. I really thought this was gonna suck, and it didn't suck. Like it was kind of fun. I liked it. I really didn't think I was gonna be interested in this. I like when this happens to me. By the way, when I'm looking at something, I go, "Oh, that looks like it's gonna be lame," and then it turns out to be really good. I liked it. You know what? For what it was, this was definitely more than I feel I've ever gotten from Dabba-Kato. Like I don't remember the last time I really truly loved something that Dabba-Kato did. I cannot tell you one thing, actually. This may be the only thing. I can't think of anything else. This is it. This was the moment. We already talked about Juju Dolan, Kiana James, and so the last thing we need to talk about for NXT today is Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This was hosted by Pretty Deadly. They're going to be the hosts for NXT Stand and Deliver, and basically they're both telling each other which version of the opponent they want. So Carmelo Hayes is basically describing the best version of Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's describing the best version of Carmelo Hayes, and that's the version that they want. Carmelo Hayes, dude, look like a freaking star. He's dressed like a star. He portrays himself as a star. When he was doing the signing, I was like, damn, this feels like a big deal matchup because this is the match that I think we've been waiting to see. For those of you who have been watching NXT, you have the guy that was kind of, you know, really thrusted into the spotlight and really given this opportunity really fast. And then you have the other guy who, yeah, he was good and you always knew he was going to be good, but it took him a little bit longer to get to the championship. He had to do a little bit more work to get to the championship. And so that's what you have in the difference between Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. And so this is the match that I feel we've been waiting for and wanting to see Carmelo Hayes become, NXT champion. So for me, I'm ready to see this match. I'm ready to see Carmelo Hayes become NXT champion. And I really liked the way that, this felt important. This felt important. I don't remember the last time I felt this way about a Braun Breaker feud. I mean, I did kind of really like the stuff that he was doing with Grayson Waller, so I don't want to dismiss that because I was a fan of that. And the match that he had with Apollo Crews at Deadline, I thought was really good too. So there has been some good moments, but I really do think that Carmelo Hayes feels like the opponent we have been waiting for Braun Breaker. And so I'm completely ready for this, but I did like pretty much what they did with all of this. Jordan Booth sends in a super chat saying, in honor of Pretty Deadly, do an English accent. Oh no, Jordan. No, I'm going to do a terrible English accent and then get judged. Let me see. I only know how to say one thing in an English accent. One thing. And it is, hello, governor. I don't know where I heard that. I heard that on TV somewhere. And that is my only English accent. And I don't even think it came out right. Or I could do Luke Owen though. Luke Owen, because I was, I co-hosted a show with him for like over a year. And he would say things like, what would he say? He always had this line. What was it? Oh, he would say bless his cotton socks. Bless his cotton socks. I don't know. I can't do an English accent at all. Like, I really cannot. I'm trying to think if I can say anything else. What is it? Hip, hip, cheerio. Oh, that's terrible. I feel like that's almost coming off as insulting. Jordan Booth, thank you for putting me on the spot. I appreciate it. And sorry for my terrible English accent. Really terrible. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but I do miss Luke Owen, by the way. I really do. We used to do silly stuff like this all the time. He had a really good impression of me. I talk like a Valley girl. I talk like a Kardashian. I'm sorry. I'm from California. And so I can't really do it. And sometimes I feel my English accent sounds Indian. I don't know what it is. It just sounds that way. But there you go. Young Chavo says, oh, damn, that was bad. Okay, Mike, a spoonful of sugar. A spoonful of sugar. God, that's really bad. Jordan Booth says, pretty sure that accent was a declaration of war between our two countries. There you go, man. World War III started on this podcast. Oh, that's terrible. Jordan Booth, thank you so much for sending that in. Man, is that really the way we're going to end NXT's conversation? I really talked about the whole show. There you go. That was the whole show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show very much. Okay, why does my English accent sound like that? It's terrible. All right, everyone. In my normal voice, I'll be back tomorrow to talk about AEW Dynamite. I'll see you then. Thank you guys so much, as always, for being here. Do not forget to head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Check out that interview with Mickie James. It's a really good interview. Please go and give it some love. And then on top of that, that's all I've got, really. youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Someone says it's German. There's no way that accent was German. No way. Dante NYC says you should do these requests via super chats. Oh God, no. Oh hell no. It'll be really, really bad. Cino Hour says Denise Regal. Yes. Wait, hold on. Sunshine. Sunshine. I can't do it. Or what was that one thing that William Regal once said? Oh my God. That thing that he said on Dynamite not too long ago, where he was taught, where the people were cursing at him, and then he responded in a really funny way, and I couldn't stop laughing about it. And then MJF did it the week after. Oh my God, what was it that he said? Somebody here in the chat has to remember what he said. There was a really funny line where he reacted to the crowd, like cursing, and he had a really good reaction to that, but I don't remember. Oh my God, I have it. I have it too. Somebody, I'm waiting in the chat to see who has it. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like William Regal literally said it on freaking Dynamite. Oh my God, it's going to kill me. I'm going to be thinking about it nuts. How uncouth. Thank you. Uncouth. Brandon Rosen, you freaking win the show today. You win the show today. How uncouth. That's what he said. I couldn't stop laughing at that. How uncouth. I didn't say it like that, but there you go. Thank you so much. I knew it was there. Alrighty, everyone. I guess I'll leave it at that. I seriously appreciate you guys coming in here each and every single week to talk about NXT. I'm falling apart, guys. All these accents messed up my outro. I'll see you guys tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. Toodaloo. Bye-bye.